Okay, everybody, so these are superset combinations, specifically today for back. Now, anytime you put a superset together, it can be random 2 exercises. But for me, I want to have a little bit of a greater purpose to it. And so I'll give you a little bit of insight into why I structure these supersets and what this superset structure was for today. So I had back on the agenda today, and we had a superset in the beginning of the workout of a cable pullover that was immediately segued into a chest supported row. And yeah, it's just 2 exercises back to back. And I see it as a little bit more than that. And the reason why is when you have a greater purpose to some of these exercise combinations, your efficiency in the gym is going to go up. And I'm all about making things harder, but also making them a little bit smarter, because the ultimate deal is I want to perform at a high level all the time. So I don't want just random things put in my workout that could be taken away from that goal. And that's to work like at an elite level, not just an average level, not just to have work in there for the sake of work. Because that works for a little while when you're new to kind of getting a new stimulus. When you're just getting started, you will have progress off of anything. But as time goes on, your body's going to get smart. And so you have to be a little bit more strategic. So going back into the superset, we started with a cable pullover. Now, a cable pullover, no matter the setting, you can see I have an approach where I'm using 2 cable pulleys. I like this combo specifically because the pullover is an awesome setup to not only get your lats to a really, really stretched position, but also to get them to a very contracted position. And anytime you think of the body, you have to think of it as 3 dimensions. It's more than just this 2-dimensional environment. And so in knowing that, I know that there is a huge benefit to being able to get my shoulder as much around and down as possible. Sometimes when I'm in this narrower setting, the inability to get around this tissue here is going to take away from my lats ability to get all the way contracted. So I use the dual pulley in most settings. If I have like 2 ropes and I can make them longer, sometimes that works. If you have a narrow rope and you want to use that, go for it. But the goal when I'm in here is that I'm trying to get my lats loaded, okay, or have some resistance in like a completely contracted position where they're very, very weak. Knowing that they're very, very weak in there, there's going to be a point where like progressing that exercise is going to slow down. And when it stalls, enter the superset. So I added in a chest supported row. And the way that I look at this set is I have an exercise in the pullover that's getting my lats with resistance completely contracted, which is pretty awesome. That's where they're most weak. There's a lot of merit there in maybe lat development or lat connection when you get good in the shortened range. But knowing that they're weak there's going to be a big drop off. And so what can I do to kind of continue to perform maybe for a longer set or load my lats more adequately for a longer period of time? I add this superset of a chest supported row. And the prime chest supported row is an ideal scenario simply because I can make the lengthened position very, very resisted, very hard. And as I get closer and closer into that contracted range, that shortened range, which is where I already kind of worn out in the pullover, the weight drops off. It actually gets lighter. So it's heavy out here, and it is lighter in here where the lats are fatigued and they are weak. So they are a nice complement of each other. The pullover has kind of an overload to the mid-range to shortened position, and the row has an overload in the lengthened position, both of them getting to the completely contracted position. So say like the combination of both, I did 15 total reps. That's 15 total reps where I'm getting my lats efficiently into the shortened range. If I'm progressing this pullover only, maybe over the course of a month, I'm only getting 8 to 10 reps and then my performance drops off. I'm not able to get into that completely contracted range. So you can see why this combination can be very, very smart. Now, one of the questions you may have is what happens if I don't have like this prime row? Is like a chest supported dumbbell row a bad idea? No, it's not. And the reason why is because the pullover is unstable, right? You have no support. It's just literally you, your brain, and your coordination and your stamina, and that's what you're going to get out of it. Immediately when you go into a setting where you have a little bit of stability like the chest support, it's less things for your brain to coordinate, to organize, and to stabilize. So it's a nice extension. However, if I'm thinking of the perfect environment, the dumbbell is still hardest in that contracted position here, that shortened range. So it's not completely ideal. However, it is still a smart superset in the fact that we went from something complex to something simplistic. All right, so hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of maybe one approach to making a superset. We have two ways of looking at this. We have the idea that I'm making a superset based off the fact that I want to do as many things in the shortened range as I possibly can, and this is a smart way to put two combinations together. Or we can look at it like I have a complex exercise that requires a lot of coordination that goes into a less complex exercise that is a little bit more stable. So it's a little bit more meaningful than just putting two lat exercises together and hoping that I get good work. Now I can work at a very, very high level for my allotted volume in my program.